Okay, let's get a presentation going. There we go. You see that, Greg?
Yep.
Cool. All right then. So welcome, guys. So this is going to be the part 3 of our guide to a healthy sleep. So in the last two episodes, if you want to call them that, we've been focusing a lot on the theoretical side of things. So, why we sleep, and then delved a little bit deeper into the effect of sleep on cognition, health, performance, and all those other factors as well. But with today's one, we're going to sort of bring it all together and give you some practical things that you can work on now. So we're going to look at how we can optimize sleep to get the most from it, to make sure we are in the most healthy position we can be, basically. So yeah, the objectives of this session today is we're going to provide you with an introduction to sleep hygiene and what that sort of concept is, if you've never heard of that term before. We're going to identify some habits that you can use or start to implement to help you sleep. We're going to talk a little bit how nutrition can be utilized to help you improve sleep. And we're going to talk about some other lifestyle factors which can impact sleep as well. So yeah, lots of practical things today, guys. So when it comes to the term sleep hygiene, which is something you might hear bandied about a lot when people talk about sleep and creating a routine and stuff like that. Yes, it just basically means the behaviors we implement when trying to improve sleep, really. So yeah, basic actions that are going to reduce time. We talked about in last night, I think it was Subibi, where she goes to bed and she just lies there waiting to go to sleep, and it doesn't happen for a long time. So yeah, trying to reduce the amount of time it takes you to fall asleep, and then obviously improving the quality of sleep once you're down then as well. So the whole point of the sleep hygiene and these sort of habits is to try and minimize the distraction that stimulates the brain and keeps you awake. So yeah, things are going to help you wind down, switch off, and just going to put you in a much better position to go to sleep a little bit quicker. So yeah, going to start off now with some of the habits you can incorporate. We've talked about some of these on the previous sessions, and we'll touch on them again, a few of the key points just to really hone on in those what we've been saying previously. So yeah, one of the things you can do is stop drinking caffeine after 1 p.m. As you know, in the previous sessions, I've said this is something I'm guilty at. What about you, Greg? Do you still have caffeine after 1 o'clock?
Same as you. If I'm on a split shift, I do.
Yeah, whether it's psychological or not, I don't know, but I just feel like I need to.
If I just work the morning, then no, I won't, or just the evening, I won't. But yeah, if I'm on a split shift, if I've been there all morning, then I have to come back a few hours later, I'll always have a coffee.
Yeah. To me, I actually just enjoy having coffee as well. So sometimes it feels like a little bit of reward. It's like, okay, you work in the afternoon, have a coffee. Makes me feel a little bit better. But like today, for example, like, because, all I've had on today really is I did a bit of admin this morning, and now we're doing this. So yeah, today about 1 o'clock, I got my little reminder on my watch to prompt me as well, to remind me to do it. So it said no caffeine. I was like, right, okay, so that's it now. I haven't had a coffee since about 12:30 today. So that one I've managed to actually do myself today. But yeah, guys, so coffee, fizzy drinks, some teas, even chocolate, they contain caffeine, which, as we know from we all know it's a stimulant. And Greg talked about how coffee or caffeine, blocks the adenosine receptors, which can delay sort of the onset of sleep, which then has a knock-on effect to the quality of the sleep we have, or even just trying to fall asleep. It makes it much more difficult. And like we talked about before, caffeine has a very, very long lifespan, so it can take as long as 8 hours to bit of a typo there, never mind. 8 hours to wear off fully. So yeah, think twice about the mid-afternoon coffee if you are going to reach one, or if it's just a habit, maybe try switching to decaf or some other options like that. And if you have a little bit of a racing mind as well, you might even want to think of just trying to rule out the caffeine altogether, just because this can increase cortisol production. And again, if your mind is racing all the time, you've got lots of anxiety, this is just going to make it harder for you to sleep, because it just drives that effect up a lot more. Another one is sticking to a sleep schedule, which this one is very simple. Is you go to bed and you wake up at the same time, regardless of what day of the week it is and what your schedule is like. Easier said than done. especially if, I don't know, some mornings, my alarm goes off at 4:30. Sometimes I don't need to be at the gym till 11. So my schedule can vary, and Greg's will be the same as well. But yeah, if you can try and keep a regular wake up window, it doesn't have to be bang on. An hour either way is usually fine. Try and keep that regular schedule when you wake up and you go to sleep. Just helps keep your body in that rhythm that we talked about last week, so that it starts to naturally just know when to wind down and when to bring itself out of that sleep cycle. Because we are creatures of habits at the end of the day. So, and when we change patterns, it can take a long time for us to adjust to. Because I think you mentioned it last week, Greg, like when people change time zones, how long does it take to adjust? It takes ages, doesn't it?
It's up. You're putting me on the spot here.
Oh, sorry.
It's well over 6 months anyway.
Yeah, it's a long time. It's not days, is it?
No, because natural circadian. So we spoke about like circadian rhythms last time. You've got like central, which is based off light, and then you've got peripheral. So like in other parts, of your body that don't necessarily respond to light, they actually respond to times of day. So like that takes an awful long time to change.
Yeah, because I think when I was reading that Poliquin sleep guide, it talked about like a typical rhythm, and it said I think it was like testosterone that like released at like 9 o'clock or something like that. So I don't know. I'm not really good at the hormone side of things. Is it like particular time of day so certain processes start happening? Is it?
Yeah. So they know, but the problem is that people get flipped. So a vast majority of the time, cortisol will go up in the morning. It's technically a stress hormone, but it's very, very important to get you up and get you ready to go. And melatonin, which helps you sleep, will reduce as the night goes on, and then that should flip at night. So cortisol should come down as the day goes on, and then melatonin go back up, so it puts you to sleep. But a lot of people, due to stressful lifestyles, poor eating habits, poor sleeping habits, actually flip that. So that's why they've really high cortisol at night. And because of that, then like we spoke about before, they really want to eat high carbohydrate, high fat food in the evening in order to suppress that, to help them sleep.
Yeah.
Alcohol will do that as well.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, like sort of the key thing there is like, sometimes we think like sleeping later on the weekends can help make up for like, a few days in the week of not getting enough sleep. But yeah, these things do take time to rectify themselves. So yeah, just sleeping later on certain days doesn't make up for a lack of sleep during the week, guys. And again, it becomes a bit of a knock-on effect. If you do start then sleeping at the weekends, it makes it much harder to get back to your original, like your regular schedule, in the week. So yeah, if you can try and create a regular sleep schedule, whereas you wake up at a certain time or an hour either side of that normal time, go to bed at a regular time, then it's going to make things, it's going to make your sleep much easier and a better quality as well. So another thing you can do as well, which is something I do, is you could actually set, not necessarily an alarm, but like with the iPhones, for example, you can set your sleep schedule. So you can actually set it to what time you normally wake up and what time you normally go, or you plan on going to bed. So what it does then is shuts down the phone, puts on do not disturb, switches off certain apps. You can't use your phone. And again, it's just a prompt just to remind you, you see your phone, you're like, oh, I should be starting to wind down now. And it just prompts you to start those routines and start utilizing those habits to help you put you in a better position to get to sleep. And then when it comes to the actual, the bedroom itself, you want to sort of create like a cave-like environment. So, we may think we're very advanced compared to, our caveman ancestors, but our bodies haven't changed that much really over that period of time. So, we respond to light, we respond to temperature as well. So, if we were sleeping outdoors back in the old days, it gets colder at night, which is then another signal to the body that it's the evening, it's time to start winding down, we're going to go sleep soon. So yeah, creating a cool temperature in the bedroom can help bring on those processes as well. So yeah, having the windows open an hour or two before you go to bed, just to bring the temperature of the room down, that can help when you do actually try to go to sleep. And yes, like I say, we respond to temperature. So it's the same for the daytime as well. We sort of respond to warmer temperatures in the day. They sort of wake us up, bring us up a little bit, and cool temperatures at night tend to to bring us down. So again, keeps our rhythm going as it should be, really. So yeah, cool bedroom at night should help you fall asleep a little bit quicker as well. And then try to schedule some time to relax before bed. So, you want to find an activity and make it sort of part of your ritual. So it just gives you a little bit of time to wind down, switch off. And again, just putting yourself in the best place possible to fall asleep, really, when you do start trying to fall asleep. So again, we've talked about these things previously. So like deep breathing, meditation, taking a bath, listen to music, journaling, reading, whatever it might be, something that just relaxes you, helps you switch off, stops our mind racing too much, can help improve sleep. And then again, like I say, sleep bedroom like a cave. You want to sleep in the darkness as well. So as Greg said, we do respond to light. So yeah, when we're looking to go to sleep, you want to make that room as dark as you can. So yeah, blinds, blackout curtains, those sort of things can help try and eliminate any outside light. And then yeah, if you can cover electronics as well, that can stop the blue light being emitted, which we've talked about, that delays the onset of sleep. So yeah, if we get any light covered, then that can improve the quality of sleep as well. And then the flip side, when you wake up in the morning, you want to try and get some exposure to natural light as early as possible. I can't remember where, but I remember reading somewhere, if you can do it before midday, that's usually the most optimal in terms of bringing you out of that groggy state of sleep and waking you up a little bit. Yeah, so just trying to get some natural sunlight, even if it's we live in Wales, it's not sunny every day. Even a cloudy day like it was today, that natural light will have the ability to bring you out of that state of sleep and leave you feeling a little bit more alert, more awake, a little bit quicker as well. So yeah, like if you do struggle with sleep, some experts say that if you try and get an hour of light exposure in the morning, that will be beneficial to you. And then yeah, trying to make it a little bit darker earlier in the evening as well would be beneficial. So yeah, if you like in this room right now, I've got the main light on. Instead of that, maybe switch to lamp light or dimmer switches, or you can go really old school and use candlelight, because am I right in thinking candlelight doesn't emit blue light? No, it doesn't. So yeah, if you want to take it really old school, guys, get the candles out, but just don't, it's like, don't leave them on and leave the room, because health and safety and all that jazz.
Depends how far you want to go with that. You can almost get red light emitting, because it's blue light that's the problem. You can get red light. You can get red light emitting bulbs.
Yes, it is literally like, it's literally bright red light as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It seems really weird because it's like your room is literally lit up, but it doesn't have the same effect as like this light bulb has. It's bonkers, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't gone on board with that yet. I think I'd go for candlelight over the red light.
Yeah, candlelight will do as well.
Like the neighbours talk, walking past and seeing red lights everywhere. And then, if you are not willing to turn off your electronics and those sort of things, invest in a red light bulb, then the alternative for you is to maybe look at some blue light blocker technology. So you can, there's software you can get. So computers, there's something called F-Lux or whatever that is. Android devices apparently got something called Twilight, which stops the blue light coming off the screen. I think iPhone have daytime and nighttime screen time colors as well. So look in your settings of your phones, there's probably something there. Alternatively, you can actually buy blue light blocking glasses, which I know Rogan invested in and he was wearing in the gym for a little bit. I don't know how long that lasted. I haven't seen them in a while.
No, you can get them quite cheap now as well.
I've looked into them, but I've just never done it.
One of the guys that I do one of the courses I'm on, he actually sells them. That's part of his. That's one of his products that he sells. Loads of people on the course who've got them say that they are actually really beneficial at night.
Yeah, because I know
they just feel drowsy as the night goes on.
Yeah, because I know Rogan got them because obviously we're in the gym. We were under the fluorescent lights of an evening shift, aren't we? And when we're there, like 8:30, 9 o'clock, whatever it might be, obviously that's going to affect us when we're trying to wind down when we're going home and stuff. So yeah, I have to speak to him and actually see if he actually noticed any benefit. But that you see a few people use them. Like Eugene Teo or something like that. He used to wear them. you'd always see him on Instagram, and he was wearing them because obviously he was on his phone late at night or whatever. So yeah, lots of people do them. They're much more readily available now, aren't they? Or users.
£40 you get them for now. They used to be a couple of hundred at one stage.
Oh, they okay.
Mm.
I have to say, I have to invest then.
I might as well.
Oh yeah, and the next one, again, we've touched on this before. So yeah, sort of some form of journaling, some gratitude journaling, or writing down a to-do list before you go to bed, can be beneficial. So I think you call this brain dumping or something like that, didn't you, Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically just getting everything you're thinking about out of your mind and onto paper. So it just helps you clear your mind of any worries that are gonna, play on you when you're trying to fall asleep, basically. Because in terms of the gratitude journaling, so like you see in the bullet point here, it's been found to have a calming effect because it draws your attention to the positive aspects of life. And again, that just puts you in a nicer mindset, a better place to start relaxing and set yourself up for sleep. I know the to-do list is something I read before in a book called The Organized Mind, which is really an interesting book. Yeah, the to-do list was like it compared to the brain as like RAM of a computer, so random access memory. So sometimes the brain is so scared of forgetting something. So say you've got to, I don't know, put a pair of jeans in the wash ready for the morning when you get up or whatever, something silly like that. Your brain, because it's so scared of forgetting it, it will make you remember. As soon as it remembers that piece of information, it will like broadcast it to you like a bloody alarm going off saying, don't forget this, because it's so scared of forgetting it, it won't let it go. So sometimes you have moments like that where something pops up into your head and you're so freaked out about forgetting it, write it down, and then it's out of your head, it's on something else, and then that should allow you to go back to sleep then. So yeah, have a pen and paper next to your bed. If you're that sort of person who has a racing mind, that could be a good one for you to incorporate and get benefit out of. And then yeah, so physical activity is good for in terms of helping with sleep, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword. So yeah, you want to be active and train, but you don't want to do it at the wrong time of day that it's going to work against you, basically. So yeah, exercise can improve the quality and the quantity of sleep, but it is stimulating, and it can offset the melatonin release and spike cortisol because exercise is a stressor on the body. So yeah, if you are exercising, ideally you should not do it about 2 to 3 hours before bed, just so you don't get those negative effects which are going to impact you trying to wind down and go to sleep then. So yeah, try and get your workouts done earlier in the day, like late afternoon, early evening max. So yeah, 2 or 3 hours before you intend to go to sleep, have your workout done by then. So yeah, so you get the positives of it and not the negatives of it. So yeah, those are the sort of the sleep hygiene and habits we were looking at there. So moving on to more sort of the nutrition side of things now. So yeah, so it's not just our behaviors, improving our nutrition as well can be a bit of a priority to trying to make sure we're getting good quality sleep, because our sleep, our wakefulness, our energy levels, they're all regulated by chemical pathways in the brain. And yeah, we can sort of have a little bit more control over those pathways based on what we eat. So we're going to look a little bit more into that now. So yeah, things you can do with food. So having regularly scheduled meals, obviously always prioritizing protein. We always prioritize protein. And why we want to do this is because there's amino acids in protein-rich foods, and they can increase alertness by blocking a portion of the brain called the orexin pathway, which apparently is the pathway that makes you feel sleepy. Do you have much knowledge on that pathway, Greg?
I do not.
You do not? We'll move on then. I was hoping you would, because I don't. This is all I know, guys. So we'll just look at the bullet points then. So yeah, so like I say, this amino acid can block this pathway, which apparently increases alertness. So you probably think, okay, why am I not eating all this protein? That's going to be negative on my sleep. Well, no, that's not the case. So higher protein intake also supports neurotransmitter balance, and that will help regulate blood sugar, and again, just allowing for better sleep overall. So yeah, there's it's sort of two things there. So yeah, always prioritize your protein. It's good for you in very many aspects. So yeah, never negate that. And then want to sort of, where we do try to incorporate carbohydrates, at dinner time can be a good one if you're trying to improve sleep. But when I'm talking like good quality carbohydrates, not processed stuff. So yeah, higher carb foods are found to have a bit of a relaxing effect, just because they can help reduce cortisol or lower cortisol, and increase this sort of feel good neurotransmitter of serotonin. And they're also necessary for the conversion of T4 into T3, which has a role in regulating our circadian rhythm and body temperature and those sort of things. So so like I said, complex carbohydrates, fruits, starch, grains, starchy vegetables, sweet like sweet potatoes, they're the sort of things which have a calming effect and set you up for a restful night. Because I don't know if sometimes, like, you might notice if you have a high carb meal, you do naturally feel a little bit sleepy afterwards. So yeah, if you can try and keep your carbohydrates to the end of the day, you're gonna you're gonna get that effect at the best time, really, because you feel sleepy. Again, it's just going to put you in a much better position to actually fall asleep a little bit quicker rather than just staring at the ceiling for ages. And yeah, the reason why we prioritize complex carbohydrates as opposed to any carbohydrates is just because it's a very varied reaction in terms of more sugary based carbohydrates. So yeah, studies show high glycemic carbs do shorten the onset of sleep, but they negatively affect the quality of the sleep thereafter. So you'll fall asleep quicker, but it's not necessarily the best sleep. And also these foods can encourage some form of overeating. So yeah, the smart move is just opt for whole food carbohydrates rather than processed things. Anything you want to add on there, Greg?
Yeah, like in terms of high glycemic carbohydrates, having stable blood sugar is really important when you go to sleep. So people who always wake up between 1 and 3, those who wake up jittery, shaky, sweaty, can always be an issue in regards of blood sugar swings, I suppose, and eating high GI carbohydrates at night can do that. So you have people who tend to have high blood sugar and they crave sweets after they eat their dinner. And then they'll generally wake up always between 1 and 3, either needing to pee or shaky and jittery, like I said. So, like Zoe said, having complex carbohydrates and protein and fat will stabilize blood sugar through the night so that you don't have to wake up for those things. Like anytime you hear, like we hear sometimes people who eat when they sleep, so they wake up and don't even realize, and they go down and eat a lot of. Generally, nobody wakes up and eats cucumber. People will wake up and they'll eat high fat, high sugar foods because they're trying to sort out the fact that their blood sugar has dropped throughout the night.
It's a bit like a protective mechanism from the body, is it?
Yeah. So if you can't control blood sugar throughout the night, that's when people tend to wake between 1 and 3. So more complex carbohydrates, fat and protein in the evening will generally solve that problem. No sweets, no alcohol. That's going to cause the issue for you there.
Yeah, you just get that just more stable release of sugar than you like say. It's gradual from the night, so it just keeps us ticking over till morning, basically, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. And yeah, ensuring we've got adequate levels of vitamin D or D3 to be specific. So yeah, apparently the part of the brain that's responsible for sleep has a large concentration of vitamin D receptors, and if those receptors are deficient, then that can have a bit of a negative effect on our sleep-wake cycle. And there was a study done by the University of Texas, which showed that in 1,500 individuals with a vitamin D deficiency, there was increased risk of insomnia and headaches. And what they found then in that study is when they started supplementing them, then the immediately the insomnia, so the ability to fall asleep, and the headaches improved. So the effects were dampened a little bit more. So yes, what they kept doing is kept supplementing them to the point where the groups had been the levels of vitamin D had improved between 60 and 80, whatever that unit of measurement is, and then normal sleep function was restored then. So yeah, that's just a really good study that does emphasize the fact that making sure we've got adequate vitamin D3, whether that be from our diet or supplementation, can have a positive effect on our sleep as well. And then another one we want to have plenty of is magnesium. So yeah, magnesium helps to calm the nervous system, which has that reduction on stress, allowing you to relax a little bit more. So again, just putting you in a better position to be able to relax enough to fall asleep. It also helps the body to metabolize cortisol, which we've talked about a lot, that stress hormone. It's also been found that people who supplement magnesium improve sleep quality by 60%. So there's a direct correlation there between having enough and getting enough good quality sleep as well. And researchers also found that we're probably not consuming enough magnesium, and that 58% of the people in the study I mentioned in the last bullet point were classed as deficient. So yeah, it could be a case of, if we're not getting enough from our diet, then supplementation of magnesium could be something that we need to utilize in order to improve sleep quality. And then making sure you got enough B vitamins as well. So yeah, again, there's a few links between B complex vitamins being deficient and with sleeping problems. Common ones being folic acid, which is B9, pyroxidine, B6, cobalamin, B12. So yeah, those three are all important for having a clear, tidy mind and getting the rest it needs. So again, wherever it's possible, we want to get these things through our diet. So and it is possible to get enough B vitamins from food, but again, probably many people would benefit from supplementing. Just for example, like thiamine, or whatever you want to call it, is it's a common one that's depleted if meat consumption is limited from the diet, just because the main source of it is organ meat, like for example liver. So I don't know about you, I never eat liver, so I'm not going to be getting much of that from my diet. So I could benefit potentially from supplementing with some sort of form of B vitamin complex. Anything you know more about this stuff? Anything you want to add there?
Yeah, so like with B vitamins in particular, you'll see so many people, especially females who are very females who have been on the pill for a long time in particular, will be really depleted in B12 and B9. They're responsible for an enzymatic reaction called methylation. Methylation does so much, especially for females. So it breaks down excess estrogen, which in excess is stimulatory. It also breaks down in a roundabout way. It aids in breaking down all your stress hormones, so adrenaline, noradrenaline, all those things that you accumulate throughout the day. So you're spotting people now. I see them in a lot of people whose bloods I do, B12 deficiency, B9 deficiency, and they swing from one to the other to B6 deficiency as well. So sometimes for a lot of people, like I said, especially if you've been on the pill for a long time, supplementing with them, especially to begin with, is a really good idea. People have alienated. So like B12, if you don't eat meat, you are or you will be deficient in B12 eventually. You'll have to eat a field of leaves in order to get enough B12 from that. And it's not methylcobalamin, which is one of the active forms. So it's really, really important that if you are a vegetarian, that you supplement with some of those things.
There you go. Okay, so that covers all sort of the nutrition things we want to go over. But if you've been trying the habits, you're optimizing nutrition as much as possible, and still having difficulty, then you might need to look at more sort of lifestyle factors that could optimize your natural rhythm, your circadian rhythm. So yeah, several lifestyle factors have been identified as having a negative impact on sleep, and that we're going to touch on some of those now and see if they're things that you guys might recognize in yourselves, or you think, okay, maybe I need to stop doing that or improve it or change my routine a little bit. So yeah, habits that help you sleep. So avoid eating late at night. So we have touched on this before when I talked about like the 10-3-2-1 thing I like to talk about with my clients, where try not to eat a few hours before bed, 2 to 3 hours being ideal. Just because if your body's trying to digest, it can't try and digest food and then try and initiate sleep at the same time, so it just delays things a little bit. So yeah, try not to eat too close to bedtime is beneficial, because yeah, eating a large amount of calories goes against our natural cycle. It can lead to an insensitivity to leptin, which helps us regulate appetite by signaling satiety, telling the brain that it's full. And this then just has a little bit of a knock-on effect then. So, you eat late night, you'll have a little bit more difficulty sleeping than you normally would. Lack of sleep decreases insulin sensitivity, causing almost like a pre-diabetic situation where glucose tolerance is a little bit lower. Insulin will then be elevated and you'll be less sensitive to leptin. You'll end up being hungrier the next day because, the hunger stimulating hormone ghrelin, that will be elevated. You'll crave foods higher in sugar because, your blood sugars are a little bit off. And then you'll have also, because you're tired, you'll have less desire to be active, which will mean you'll burn further calories. So it's a bit of a, like I say, it's a knock-on effect. Your sleep quality is affected. You're going to be hungrier. You're going to chase more calorie-dense foods, like higher in sugar. You're less sensitive to leptin, so your brain's not getting that signal to say I'm full, I don't need any more food, and you're not going to be moving as much, so you're going to be consuming more calories and not burning as much. So it's a bit of a vicious cycle that you end up in, all from potentially, I'm not saying this is the only thing, like potentially that could be something that causes this sort of chain reaction. Anything I missed there, Greg, or is that pretty much everything that would be the knock-on effect there?
Pretty much spot on, pal.
Happy days. So yeah, in terms of if that's you, if you're eating too late tonight, because I know that used to be me, and that's something I'm working on now, where I wouldn't eat dinner till like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, because in my house we like to eat as a family. So my mum and dad, they'd have a drink of an evening, and then they'd have their dinner. So that would usually be about somewhere between, like, say 10 and 11. So then I would have my dinner then, and then go to bed half hour later. So yeah, probably not the best thing for me to be doing. But yeah, so over the last few months I've been working on that now. So yeah, 3 hours before bed. So like 6, 7 o'clock, I'll have my dinner, and I start winding down then about 9 o'clock. So yeah, just try and create a meal frequency that avoids you eating the bulkier calories right before you go to bed, basically. So yeah, try and get your eating done 2 or 3 hours before. So if you're trying to go to bed at 10, try and get your eating done somewhere between 7 and 8. But if you are desperately hungry before bed, you can consume good, in inverted commas, fat, because it may not spike your insulin the same way as other foods will, or have that negative effect on leptin release. So things like almonds, nut butter, coconut oil, those sort of things can be okay to consume there, but beware of calories. These things are very, very calorie dense. So don't just buy a peanut butter, grab a spoon and just start eating it, because you're just going to go, I don't know, it's just a dangerous act you get into. So yeah, don't do it. And then some people do incorporate what's called intermittent fasting, but yeah, just be careful with fasting if this is you. So there are benefits to it, such as reduced inflammation. It can be a positive tool to help manage body weight, but randomly skipping your meals can alter your rhythm a little bit and impede sleep by activating some neurons in the brain, which just promote being alert and more awake. I think fasting, it spikes cortisol as well, doesn't it, Greg?
I think in the long term it does.
Yeah.
It's funny though, like when it talks about, you have a point there. When our hunter-gatherer ancestors lacked food, they needed enhanced mental clarity and brain function to drive activity and help them find food. It's so true though, and it's funny what the body does. It actually removes, so dopamine is what generally will increase if you don't eat, or especially if you don't eat carbohydrates, and it makes you braver. So like so when you're really hungry, you'll make silly decisions, not just in food, but you'll do more dangerous things in order to get them. you ever driven around town to 3 different places just to find the exact food you want?
Oh yeah. I know. I've seen it. I can't remember who shared it. I know Rogan definitely put it on his story, but I can't remember who originally put it out there. It was a meme it was like from Star Wars or something, and it was like it was someone joke about intermittent fasting where it's like, oh, I have so much energy, and someone goes, oh yeah, it's just cortisol and adrenaline, right? And it's like a confused face is like, it's just cortisol and adrenaline, right? Yeah. So like say guys, like yeah, fast. Like when we're talking about fasting, I'm not talking like you see like these intermittent fasting diets where you've got like the circadian one, which is like a 12-13 hour fast. You got 16-8, 8-16. So when we talk about fasting, we're talking about these long ones, maybe like a 16-hour one, for example. That sort of fast can have these effects where, yeah, cortisol's increased, adrenaline goes up. Greg might touch on dopamine there. And, you know, probably back in it, like I say, our bodies haven't altered too much from like the caveman days, but, you know, we probably didn't go that long without food, even back then. So yeah, sometimes these intermittent fasting protocols are probably just that bit too extended where we get these probably not desirable effects. So yeah, if you are, I'm going to touch on this on the next slide now, but if this issue, if you do use some form of fasting approach, then a shorter fast is probably more beneficial here to stop having those negative effects. So something more between 10 and 12 hours, which is your sort of circadian rhythm type fast, would be a better option, not to just spike those things too much where it's going to negatively impact your sleep later in the day. And then, yeah, this is a funky one, which I've heard before, social interaction. So yeah, apparently our rhythm is affected when we interact with other people. And this necessarily doesn't actually have to be, you know, face to face with someone. Even just seeing faces on your television, or I don't know if you're watching this late at night and you're listening to us talk right now, just seeing human faces has been found to increase our wakefulness and inhibit our sleep. So this is something I read years ago, because I used to fall asleep try and fall asleep with the TV on, because I was always like one of those people who's like, I need to be listening to something to fall asleep because I'm a terrible overthinker. So yeah, I'd always put like Friends or something like that on, something I've watched a million times that I knew I could just zone out to. But yeah, if anything, I would just shoot myself in the foot with that behavior, because, like I say, seeing people's faces on the screen is actually making me more alert, because I'm thinking there's other people around, so I need to be, you know, interacting and that sort of thing.
I think Bex does that with Bex does that with Friends as well, doesn't she?
Our Bex
Beck Edwards, yeah.
Did she?
Yeah, I remember her telling me that before.
I used to do it with Friends, like anything I've watched a million times over. So Friends, Family Guy was a common one as well. And yeah, so anything I would just listen to and I know what's going on, so I didn't have to open my eyes.
It's the idea, it turns off mental chatter without actually having to be focused.
Yes. Yeah, it literally, it would give me something to focus. Yeah, like I would listen to that rather than listen to what was going on in my head, which was a better alternative, basically. So yeah, so try and watch how your evenings are in terms of social interactions. And like I say, it doesn't have to be with other humans. The TV screen does count as well. So yeah, try and again, I'm carrying on and going to the next slide. So yeah, in terms of fixedness, try and schedule your sort of social, you know, activities, encounters, whatever you want to call them, earlier in the day, and avoid nighttime TV as well. So, or even like a weird thing, which this is, I never knew this one before. So even just if you are going to watch TV late at night, close to bedtime, try and avoid things with people's faces, basically. So opt for like something like nature or like a sports program, because apparently that has a not as a detrimental effect as, you know, making us alert, because, you know, it's not quite clear that it's a human being you're looking at. Weird the things you find, isn't it, Greg? And then yeah, a little bit like touching on what we said earlier, you know, training at the wrong time we talked about earlier, but also excessive exercise, so doing too much. So yeah, like, you know, some people do prefer training later in the day. Maybe it's because, you know, they're a bit of a night owl, they feel more awake at night, or it's because their life schedule dictates that they have to train after work, which tends to be later in the evening. And it can actually be training somewhat like afternoon, evening has been found to be better for physical performance, just because our body temperature is higher, our coordination seems to be a little bit better later in the day. But it may not actually, if sleep is your goal, it may not be the best time and actually can inhibit sleep. And also too much exercise can lead to increased inflammation and hormone imbalance. So some of the sort of aspects we talked about in the overtraining series, me and Sam, where, you know, if you're doing too much, your body's only got so much energy it can use to help you recover from what you've done in the day. So yeah, if your body can't recover from that, and then it becomes a knock-on effect, and, you know, you get all these this chain of event of things happening. So yeah, inflammation. So IL-6, which apparently helps improve muscle development, but, you know, too much of that actually causes poor sleep and further physical stress. And again, that just inhibits sleep in this cyclical fashion that we've been seeing so far when we've talked about all this stuff. It's all a bit of a knock-on effect with everything. So again, with the training, it's just trying to find that minimal effective dose. And that's going to get you from, point A to point B in terms of your goal. So in terms of like exercise, try and keep workouts to an hour and less. If you want these people train 3 hours a day or more, then you might need to rethink that. And try not to do too much high intensity exercise too often, basically. So yeah, again, find that minimal effective dose that gets you in the direction you want to be going, and then work from there, basically. Okay, and yeah, so just to summarize, so over the 3 parts, if you've been putting off taking sleep seriously, stop it. Now is the time to start focusing on it and improving it, because as we found, sleep is the foundation for everything. So yeah, if you can nail your sleep, you're going to be healthier, you're going to perform better, you'll be able to think better, and just the decisions you make as well will be better. So yeah, in terms of key takeaways, so establishing a routine can really help transform your life. It will give you the reserves to tackle the physical and mental challenges you face every day. So, in terms of what do you do now, start with the habits we talked about in the first part of today. Then look at sort of the nutrition side of things. And again, just getting that perfect dose of exercise to support your natural rhythms. Work on stress management. Try to adopt some form of relaxation activity somewhere late in the day before you intend on trying to go to sleep, just to help manage cortisol, stress, all those sort of things, start winding you down. And yeah, just put yourself in a better position to go to sleep. And that is it. So we've not got anyone with us, so no questions tonight. So if anyone does have questions when this gets posted out in the group, just tag me or Greg and put it in the comments, and we can come in and then help you out.
Yeah, make sure you tag, otherwise we won't see it. Yeah,
make sure you tag us, because I'll forget to check otherwise. So yeah, and if I don't answer quick enough, nag me, it's fine. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. Anything you want to tag on there?
No, it's good, really good.
All right, lovely then. We'll wrap it up there. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that, guys. Yeah, any further questions, let us know. Anything you're unsure of, let us know. And yeah, always happy to help. So have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your bank holiday. Thanks again, Greg, for coming in and help me out. And we'll see you all soon, guys.